From the Coptic Orthodox Church of St.Mary.Sourian Souriany Monastery, this is one of the miracles of Fr Falteous el Souriany. A man also tells, "In the beginning I had no knowledge of Fr Falteous, until I was introduced to him by a friend of mine named Dr. Safwat Fayek. Dr. Fayek told me about how his daughter's malfunctioning kidney was healed through the prayers of Fr Falteous. God granted Fr Falteous the virtue of healing illnesses, as well as the virtue of spiritual transparency and the virtue of being able to prophesy. He also had wisdom and humility, and he was always willing to serve others. My story begins in the year 2000 when I was returning home from my clinic, located in front of a hospital in Madinat Nasr. When I drove my car through the Ismaeil El Kabany Street, a car collided into my Volvo. The driver was a 20-year-old man. My car was bent out of shape and the airbag blew up into my face as it thrust the left lens of my eyeglasses into my left eye. The car was full of smoke and I felt that I was unable to see using my left eye. My car was shoved against the sidewalk in the midst of the street. When the police arrived, they questioned the youth who was driving and then they took me to the nearest hospital. When the ophthalmologist on staff examined my eye, he concluded that the vision in my left eye was completely destroyed. I could not even see the light through that eye. When the doctor completed the report, he handed it over to the police officer. I was then transferred to another medical center, where Dr. Esam Shahib, professor of ophthalmology, was working. He did not happen to be working at the hospital that day. However, when he was contacted, he arrived as quickly as he could, and he examined my eye. He then concluded that 1. I had a corneal ulcer that spanned 80% of the eye. This was due to the lens being thrust into my eye. 2. I had iridohexis. My iris was severed. 3. I had a bruise in my optic nerve. 4. I had internal bleeding inside my eye. 5. My retina was partially detached. And 6. The pressure in my eye was extremely high. This was in addition to all the other bruises that filled my body, from sprains and bruised ribs that caused me so much pain. Without going into further medical details, Dr. Shahib informed me that my case was extremely critical. In the event that he would attempt to remedy any of the above issues, it would interfere with another. Needless to say that I was in a bind. Nevertheless, I told him that I would submit this eye to the one who created it, God, and he would know how to heal it. Many of my friends came to visit me, and amongst them was Dr. Safwat Fayek, who rushed to El Sourian Monastery in order to meet with Fr Falteous and to inform him of all that had befallen me. He said to him, "Father, Dr. Kamel lost his sight in his left eye, and he is currently bedridden because of the pain from the car accident. His ribs are bruised and his body is aching all over. He is a righteous church servant and he cares for the youth. He is responsible for other tasks in multiple churches and he needs to regain his sight back in order to continue to serve." After hearing what Dr. Awad had to say, Fr Falteous gave him a small vial of holy oil and had some of the blessed oil, which once belonged to His Holiness Pope Cyril VI, and he said to him, "Tell Dr. Kamel to anoint his eye with this oil every 12 hours. When Dr. Fayek came and told me about what Fr Falteous said, I asked him, "And what is the reason behind the 12 hours? To which he responded, "Just do as he told you and stop arguing." Indeed, I committed to anointing my eye every 12 hours. As I did so, I underwent a radioactive dye scan for the back of my eye. In the process, I was almost going to lose my life because I developed a severe allergic reaction to the dye. In any case, when the results appeared, they concluded exactly what Dr. Shahib had previously told me. During another one of Dr. Fayek's visits to Fr Falteous, he said to him, "Ask your friend to come to the monastery during Easter." Dr. Fayek responded, "How can he come, Father? His eye is patched and he cannot drive. On top of that, he no longer has a car." In response, Fr Falteous said to him, "He will regain his sight, and he will drive his car to the monastery." Dr. Fayek was taken aback to hear this, and he did not respond. Easter was approaching just around the corner, but I was bedridden, and my car was a total loss. There was no way of fixing it. When Dr. Fayek went to the monastery another time, one of the monks who knew him asked, "Is your friend able to see now or not yet?" Dr. Fayek was surprised by this question, and he wondered how this monk knew about my case. The monk responded and said, "We have all been doing prostrations on behalf of this matter, because Father Falteous asked us to do so. Father Falteous asked many of the monks to participate in prayer for causes such as these. During my last checkup, Dr. Shahib removed the patch from my eye, and he examined the inside of my eye as well as the strength of the vision. However, this time, he found it to be 20/20. He began to clap his hands and he said to me, "I thought it would be a miracle if the inside of your eye had not ruptured altogether, and you would not require an artificial eye in its place. But for you to regain your vision normally and fully without any issues, this is something I would never have expected." The doctor was so mesmerized to the point where he refused to give me the scan results because he wanted to keep them. I was fully healed, but one question remained. How could I go to the monastery without a car? Especially because Father Falteous told Dr. Fayek he will regain his sight and he will drive his car to the monastery. To my ultimate surprise, something amazing happened, and it was something that I would never thought could happen. The Volvo car dealer knew that I preferred Volvo cars over any other car brand. He knew that I would eventually purchase another car from him, as soon as the insurance company reimburses me for my old car, of course. And I agreed to pay the remainder of the cost out of my own pocket. On Easter Eve, the manager of the dealership, Mr. Fathallah, sent me the car that I wanted to purchase, and he said to me, "I know that it may be a while until the insurance company reimburses you for your old car, and I know that you need a car now. We trust you because you are a loyal customer. Here are your new car keys, and your new car is parked outside your home. Feel free to pay us whenever the money becomes available to you." After hearing those words, I could not believe what I was hearing. Indeed, on the day of Easter, my family and I went to El Sourian Monastery. I drove the new car and I was able to see perfectly fine, just as Father Falteous had prophesied. From that time onward, my family and I became attached to Father Falteous, and we continued to visit him regularly on a monthly basis until we immigrated to Canada in the year 2005. Even when we visited Egypt, we continued to visit Father Falteous, and our last visit with him was last year, which was 2009. One of my relatives informed me that when he went to visit Father Falteous, and he relayed our greetings to him, he said to him, "I will be celebrating Christmas with you this year, but I will be celebrating Easter up in heaven." Indeed, this is what came to pass, and Father Falteous departed before Easter. May God repose his soul, and may he benefit us all through his prayers.